So Phil Spencer has caused some more commotion with another interview that this man does. It seems like every time he does an interview, someone takes his words and they spin it however they want to, and I want to talk about that. But before we get on with the video, definitely hit that like button if you guys enjoy the video. You can always subscribe to the channel for weekly content. And don't forget to go there and follow me at Twitter at LordAddictILP. Without any further ado, let's talk about Phil Spencer. What's going on, you guys? Gaming Guy here, coming at you for another video. I want to talk about Phil Spencer in terms of interviews. Now, for those of you that's been around this industry long enough, you know that he is very open to a lot of, outlets throughout the past few years. And a lot of the times, Phil Spencer has had his words twisted and told in different ways than he originally intended on doing it. I still don't even understand why he still goes on these, these outlets, and why Microsoft really still lets him go on these outlets. I know he's got a lot of pull there, and I know that at the end of the day, Phil Spencer wants to tell his side of the story. He wants to tell what's on his mind, and for the most part, it's always worked out extremely well for Phil Spencer. There's no denying that this man is not extremely good talking. He's good at PR, he's good at spinning questions when he's asked a question he doesn't necessarily want to answer, and he's good at directing the conversation away from something he doesn't want to talk about. But every now and then, Phil Spencer does get himself into a little bit of a scenario, a situation off the words that he says in some of these interviews. Keep in mind, Phil Spencer, he does a lot of interviews every year, and for the most part, he always does well to where there's not a lot of clickbaity articles coming out of this man's interviews. But every now and then, there are some situations like I mentioned, and this is one of them. For those of you that don't know, he did an interview with Games Radar, and he talked about a variety of different things. I'm not going to go too much into all of it, just really going to go over some of the highlights of the stuff that I see on Twitter that people are not really enjoying what he is saying in some of these scenarios. So let's go over probably the biggest one that I saw on Twitter. It was, quote, "We're not in the business of trying to create a green version of someone else's blue or red colored platforms," end quote. For those of you that don't know, and you're under a rock of some sort, clearly blue is PlayStation, red is Nintendo. And for the most part, we've always agreed that that is Microsoft's competition. I do think that the quote that people really took out of context a couple years ago, where Microsoft said that they weren't competing with PlayStation, which, if I remember correctly, that particular conversation was being talked about cloud services, and that's why he didn't necessarily see PlayStation in that area be in competition to Microsoft, because PlayStation and Sony are not in the cloud computing scenario. They're not in that industry, so I would see why he wouldn't see PlayStation as competition in that area. But let's go ahead and talk about what he said here. He said, "We're not in the business of trying to create a green version, which is Xbox, of someone else's blue or red colored platform." I think everyone can agree now that they do see PlayStation as competition. They do see Nintendo as competition, or he wouldn't have worded it in a way like that. He worded it in a way that, look, we can do our own thing. We do not have to copy what the red version, including Nintendo, what he's talking about Nintendo there, and what the blue version is, which is PlayStation. So clearly, let's move away from the fact that everyone says Microsoft and Phil Spencer says that PlayStation Nintendo is not their competition, because in my personal opinion, that statement right there just debunks that whole theory, and I'm tired of hearing about it. It's been years. Let's move past that. Now, I know a lot of people are taking this conversation, they're taking this quote, and they're running with the narrative that somehow Phil Spencer said that we're not going to make the type of games that PlayStation and Nintendo make, because he did say red and blue. I don't necessarily think that's what he was saying here. Let me explain what I think he means here. He means, look, we get told all the time on Twitter, you need an answer to God of War. You need an answer to Spider-Man. You need an answer to Mario. You need an answer to Zelda. We don't need to make green versions of those type of games. Does that mean that they're not going to make those type of games? Of course not. We see Hellblade coming out. Gears is a third-person action adventure game. Compulsion's working on a third-person game. Fable most likely is going to be a third-person game. So to say that they assume he's talking about not making, you know, that quality AAA third-person action adventure, I think it's reaching, and that's just my honest opinion. Microsoft is trying to be as diverse as possible. They have this beast called Game Pass that they constantly have to feed, and really what he's saying there is like, look, we're going to make as many type of games as possible. We don't need to make what the blue people are making or what the red company's making. We're going to make those type of games because in previous interviews he's mentioned that he understands people want those type of games, and he has mentioned that they are focusing on making those types of games. We see that with Perfect Dark, with, like I said, Fable, Hellblade. They are focusing on those form of games. But the thing is Microsoft is not making only those type of games. People have a question on quality. I don't think we have quality to worry about when it comes to Microsoft. I fully expect Fable to be a AAA quality form type of game. I expect Avowed, same thing. Perfect Dark, same thing. We're going to get a lot of quality type games, but for some reason, people only want to focus on the indie games that they bring out. They only want to focus on the games of the third party and second party that they bring to Game Pass day and date, such as The Ascent. Those are not Microsoft's games. Those are pretty much filler games that Microsoft is going out, getting good deals with company games that actually look good. Regardless how Ascent scored, a lot of people love that game. It is appealing to a wide variety of different audiences on Game Pass. When Forza Horizon 5 comes out for Game Pass later on this year, that's going to appeal to a racing format genre type of gamers. You're going to get those people in Game Pass, you're going to keep those people happy. When Halo drops, that's going to appeal to the first-person shooter market. At the end of the day, Microsoft cannot make just the games that PlayStation makes or just the games that Nintendo make. They have to be diverse. PlayStation does what they do extremely well. They make the same format type of games because they know their audience love those types of games, and they do it extremely well. But PlayStation doesn't have to worry about something called Game Pass. They don't have to worry about having as many type of games and as many genres as possible, covering all of these possibilities. That way they can bring in newer audiences to Game Pass. You want the first-person shooters. You want the third-person action adventure games. Like I said, we know they're going to be making these games. You want the RTSs like Gears Tactics. You want the other RTS games like Age of Empires. You want the racers like Forza Horizon, Forza Motorsports, and you want the RPGs like Avowed and Fable. They're going to be giving you these type of games, and they have to give you these type of games. Microsoft is not in the position to only make one type of game and only get one type of gamer in Game Pass. Game Pass is not designed to appeal to everyone. Game Pass is designed to give you options, and if you like those type of genres, you play those type of genres, and it's meant to get as many people from a variety of different markets into one subscription service. Think about it as like Netflix. Netflix does not make every Netflix original to appeal to every market. They don't want to do that. They want to make as many great shows that appeal to a different variety of different audiences so they can get all of those people in Game Pass and keep all of those people happy, so they're constantly paying that subscription service. Obviously, we do got to see the quality of the Fables, of the Avoweds, of the Elder Scrolls games when they come out. We got to see what the new Bethesda studios are going to be bringing us and what kind of quality games they're going to be giving. But it's to say that Microsoft and Phil Spencer doesn't want to make the PlayStation style type of games, I feel like is reaching, and I feel like I've pretty much covered the reasons why they would not be making those type of games. I do think that Phil Spencer should probably choose his words a little bit more wisely, because people love to take them out of context, and we've seen it throughout the years. But anyway, that's pretty much the video. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you think sometimes Phil Spencer would be out of touch on what exactly people can write articles about, what exactly people can't write articles about? And do you think maybe he should lay off the interviews, give it a little bit of time to make sure that, you know, stuff like that can't happen? Or you think for the most part he cares more about getting his opinion out there and what the direction of Xbox is, that it's worth the risk of these clickbait articles? I'm curious to hear you guys' opinion in the comment section below, but until next time, this is Gaming Addict. I'm out of here. Peace.